Hey guys, J-Dog here. I just got home decompressing after watching Masters of the Universe. I said I was going to do a review for it, kind of out of the theater. Um, I waited till I got home. I didn't film myself in the car or anything like some goob. Oh, I got to tell you about it. It was, on my scale, I liked it. Was Masters of the Universe going to be a perfect film? Oh, heck no. It was never a perfect show, people. I mean, it was basically a cartoon to sell action figures and try and impart some, morality lessons to kids. Um, the guy that got to play He-Man, I think he did very well as Prince Adam. Um, you know, not not looking as super jacked and ripped as He-Man should be. There are going to be minor spoilers here. Nothing that's going to damage the story for you to go see the experience. I'm going to talk about a couple things that I noticed in the movie, a couple callbacks to the original Masters of the Universe film. And I'm going to start with those right now. Dolph Lundgren, he's in it, and he does the Good Journey, which is good. I like that. I like that little nod. I like when a director, filmmaker will give a nod to an OG film that is a cult classic. Was that ever a great film? No. But it's a fun movie. Especially when you learn about more of the behind the scenes stuff of what was going on with the production of the film. You give it a little more respect when you know the adversities they were facing in making the original. This one obviously was a big budget movie. I hope it does decent in the box office. I hope it makes some money. Not just break even. I don't want to see it lose money because, again, here's a couple more spoilers for you. At the end, there is before the end credits scene. And then you get the end credits, which had some. This one made me tear up a little bit. There was a scene in the end credits where they showed the characters and the names, and I swear I saw Gwildor silhouette. I swear. Correct me if I'm wrong. See the movie, watch those credits, and tell me if you didn't see Gwildor there. Please. Because it made me kind of think of dear old Billy Barty being Gwildor, which was the old 80s version of Orko. So, here's your spoiler. Right at the end, before the end credits, Orko shows up. And he does like he did in the show, in the cartoon back in the 80s, where he explained the moral kids were supposed to learn if they didn't learn the moral from watching the show. I thought that was a good nod back, just like the Dolph Lundgren nod back to the original movie. Just like, so the original movie, they didn't want the toy line attached to killing bad guys. So all of Skeletor's minions, the soldiers, were all supposed to be like robots. So that way it would be okay to shoot them or hit them with a sword or, whatever they did to kill them. This one, the minions were minions. They die, they die. But they did it in a way that, the foot soldiers, you didn't see their faces. They were died by the dozens, The officers, you saw their faces. So you saw those facial expressions of people like, oh crap, in some scenes when they're like, they should be crapping their pants. And then the Orko thing, then the credits, the stylized credits, kind of like a Guardians of the Galaxy credits. You kind of credits you expect to see from a flashy film like this now. And I swear I saw Gwildor nod in there with a silhouette of Gwildor with a guitar, which would make sense because the original movie, the character that helps Gwildor figure out the dimensional door keys, it was a guitarist. So Gwildor with a guitar would kind of be a nod back to that movie. I like that. And then you had the end credits scene, which left it open for another Eternian that was not in this one, but is related to Prince Adam, Adora. And that's where I'm going to leave it with that. Because I don't want to get into too many spoilers, but I want you to stay through the credits to see that scene. Because that's a girl move. That was the girl version of He-Man. He-Man was made for the boys. She-Ra was made for the girls. Prince Adam for the boys. Princess Adora for the girls. Perfect. And if you now, with that end scene, I don't think a She-Ra movie by herself would do as well unless you incorporate He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. They're all Eternians, so it would make sense. Was it theater worthy? I went out and saw it on what they call the Big D for AMC here, the big Dolby screen, and I'm glad I did. You know, I found that the CGI was better than what Disney puts out, which isn't saying much. It wasn't horrible. It wasn't the best CGI I've seen in films. The action sequences were fun. There were a couple slow bits. Thankfully, I went to bed early and didn't work a full-on day today because I think I might have started falling asleep during those bits. I like the character development of certain characters, Man-at-Arms being one of them. I think he had good character development as far as where he started to where he ended. Costumes at the beginning were decent. Midway through, they were good. By the end, they were what you would expect from a Masters of the Universe movie. Again, it was never going to be a great film on my scale. You know my scale. Love it, like it, didn't hate it, hot garbage. I liked it. Didn't love it, but there are so few things that I love it. A like it is pretty darn good on my scale. If you like flashy sci-fi fantasy films, and you have the cash to burn, because I know going to movies is not cheap nowadays. Because I got myself the drink, popcorn, Twizzler combo, which I probably didn't need. But I did it because I was just like, I want to sit there and eat some Twizzlers and take me back to being a kid for 2 hours and 20 minutes. That's how long it is. And I stayed all the way to the end. So there is an end credit scene, which also sets it up for the next one, which if you remember the original Masters of the Universe, one of the first movies to do an end credit scene that never played out. It was Frank Langella as Skeletor in the bowels of Grayskull coming up out and saying, "I will return." Well, he never did return. And to be expected with an 80s film, usually they were one and dones. Masters of the Universe was a perfect example when they were tearing the sets down while they were still trying to film the movie. And give props to the art people that did that movie for making it seem way bigger than it actually was. But yeah, this movie, my recommendation, if you have nothing going on, if maybe it's a rainy weekend, go see it. If you have kids, I would say not too young. This is not for little kids. Trailer for a movie that I saw for little kids, Moana, is coming out this summer. Take them to Moana. You might like it too, because I'm not saying that I enjoyed any of the humor in that trailer, but I was just like, yeah, this will keep the kids busy for a couple hours, type deal. If it's a rainy day. Masters of the Universe, teenage kids that you can look at them and be like, I grew up watching this as a cartoon. And I just want you to experience. And at the end, I'll tell you whether I hated it or loved it compared to what I remember as a kid watching the cartoon. Or maybe they even watched the newer cartoons if they were young enough. You know, there was the early 2000s one they did, He-Man and Masters of the Universe. Maybe they watched that as a kid. And this one darn thing that I want to see in a He-Man or a Conan. Now, we kind of got this with the first Conan, but a He-Man film. He-Man didn't just use the Sword of Power all the damn time. He used a big damn axe. Something that looks unwieldy to a normal man, but because he has the power of Grayskull backing him up, making him basically a demigod, he could wield that giant axe quite prolifically. You would see the Sword of Power on his back, but he'd had that big axe, and he would use that, or occasionally he'd use the axe and the sword at the same time, dual wielding, you know, basically a long sword with a huge two-handed axe that shouldn't be able to be used with two hands. Now that's the thing I'd like to see in Conan too. They always give him the Atlantean sword. He always ends with his father's blade, not Conan Destroyer. They just straight up focused on one sword with that one. And in Conan, the Battle of the Barrows, he did use multiple different types of weapons. But Conan didn't just use the bastard sword that he used. He used axes. He used a big axe too. Because he's a barbarian, for Pete's sake. Big axes are kind of the trade. But yeah, He-Man was fun. It was a good, I saw it's 2 in the afternoon, so it didn't start until about 2:30 because all the stupid commercials and trailers for movies. And a 2-hour and 20-minute movie. So, not bad, you know. I ran out of popcorn about Act 2. I ran out of Twizzlers just at the start of Act 3. Because just like the original movie, it started in Eternia, came to Earth, ended back in Eternia. And I'm just like, Now, there was not as much time on Earth as there was in Eternia. And let me just say, people will say, well, there's woke stuff in it. The stuff that people think is the woke stuff in it, I found to be very mocking of the woke. I wasn't annoyed by it. I found it to be very obnoxious and mocking the obnoxious nature of it. And minor spoiler, it's an HR department. So them mocking that made me chuckle. Because I saw it for what it was, a mockery of HR. Which HR in itself is a friggin' mockery to begin with too. So, but yeah, if that's your wheelhouse, sci-fi fantasy, and you liked Guardians of the Galaxy, good example of a way to compare it. Whether that's more sci-fi than fantasy, this is a good blend of the two. You've got energy weapons, you've got swords and hammers and stuff like that, and maces and melee combat. So yeah, you got a good blend in this of the sci-fi fantasy aspect. Oh, Cringer. Minor spoiler. Cringer does speak, and he is still a coward just like the show. Because he wasn't a battle cat until he had that armor. That was part of the power transference to the cat, which they don't really delve into that. At the end, they got Cringer being battle cat, but Cringer is Cringer most of the movie, and kids will find it cute. But this is very much, you watch this and you're like, you see a lot of the same toys that you saw as a kid that they marketed using the cartoon show. Cartoon show was a Christmas wish list for kids. Christmas and birthdays. What What was the birthday theme? He-Man. So all your friends brought you He-Man toys, so you had the full collection. You could all play together. Someone would bring a villain, someone would bring a hero, you know. Your parents would get you He-Man and Skeletor. All the sidekicks are on your friends to get you. Some of you would get Ram Man, Fisto, Mechanic, Trapjaw, Triclops. And let me say, if people complain about the race swaps, listen, I don't care. Idris Elba did a great Man-at-Arms. I thought he was good. I thought he had great character development, and he was humorous in a way, in some ways. Teela was athletic, and she should be. Evelyn, I still say Meg Foster's Evelyn is way sexier, way spookier than the Evelyn that they put in this one. This one was more campy. Skeletor. Let's talk about Skeletor. Again, He-Man, didn't hate the actor. Was he as ripped as you would expect? Like, was he Dolph Lundgren ripped? No. Dolph Lundgren was a bodybuilder. And a really smart guy who has master's degrees in chemistry, and he has a couple. He's a smart guy. But he's jacked, so he's a bodybuilder. Skeletor, played by Jared Leto. But it was very comic accurate Skeletor. Cartoon accurate, I should say, not comic. Well, there are comics, but the color palette, the way he acted, though, there were times that he was trying to be serious, and they made it into a comedic thing, a comedic event, where that just triggered those Skeletor memes that you see on Facebook, like the ones that are a little inappropriate for children. Nothing in this movie was inappropriate. Well, there were jokes that adults would get, and maybe some older teenagers will get, but younger kids, not so much. They won't get it. It's flashy, it's bright, there's action beats. If they're enthralled by that kind of stuff, they'll be enthralled by this movie. Skeletor, again, came off to me very cartoonish, very mean. It's a very mean Skeletor. The Frank Langella Skeletor from the original Masters of the Universe was way darker, way creepier, way more mean. As in, meaning he was very centralized on himself. This Skeletor acted centralized on himself, but always threw back to, other people being an issue to him. And there was also another throwback to the old movie. I forget the character's name. He was a general, but I just don't remember the name they used after the general part. He had the slick back gray and white hair and a hook for a hand, and he was leading the guys in the original Master Universe movie to Earth. He led Beastman. Beastman was cool in this. He was big, burly. He was Beastman. Gray in the face, which I liked. Like he had aged. That's the other thing too. From the start to the end, from the start of the movie, basically the first act, the prologue, to where Adam is an adult, and becoming He-Man, is 15 years. So there's some changes in people and the way they look. Beastman being one of them. You didn't see Beastman necessarily in the beginning of the film, but by mid to end, you see Beastman, and he's gray. He's gray in the beard. He's got gray fur. He's orange, but mixed with gray, and I like that. I was like, it's a little more aged, It kind of works, because if he was a minion 15 years before, he would have been bright orange. 15 years later, he's got a little more gray to him. Triclops, Trapjaw, the general I mentioned, Spiker is in there. They didn't bring back Blade, which was a character they made specifically for the movie in the 80s with Dolph Lundgren, so they could have sword fights, because no one else was sword fighting. I mean, they gave Beastman a sword, but Beastman don't use no sword. Beastman's a beast. Well, he has a whip. And he does use it in this movie. So Beastman does have a weapon eventually. The weapon that he's known for, which is a whip. I'm just going to straight up say it. The people that made this movie should get their I would say not a straight She-Ra movie. I don't think it'll bring the money in. It'd be good if they incorporated Masters of the Universe with She-Ra for the next one. Make it a quest for Prince Adam to find his cousin or sister or whatever it is that Adara is to him. I don't even remember because I wasn't a She-Ra guy. I was He-Man. Like I watched He-Man, G.I. Joe, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I wasn't a She-Ra guy. That's a chick thing, and that's good. That could bring in a woman audience to this, but I don't think they will make the money with a She-Ra movie if they don't have He-Man, because the audience is not going to be there. Not as much as the Masters of the Universe is. And if they do that right, it could play off well and it could do well. And personally, I wouldn't mind seeing the people that made this movie maybe pen up and pitch a Thundercats film. It'd be a way more hokier, but I would love to see Mumra on screen as a live action CGI Mumra. I mean, they could do Mumra without too much CGI, especially in his decrepit form, but in his Mumra form, channeling the Elder Gods form, it would be more CGI because all the wavy bandages and his headdress and stuff. That would definitely have to be CGI. But yeah, no. Masters Universe, I liked it. Recommend if you're bored and have a little bit of money to spend and don't have a 70-inch television, because the next time I watch it, will not be going back to the theater. It's too damn expensive to go see that movie twice in the theater. I'm glad I saw it the way I did. I had a great seat. It wasn't super packed, but not to be expected for a 2 in the afternoon on a Thursday. Tomorrow I'm going to Scary Movie, and that I'm going to a nighttime show. That's the other thing. With an afternoon, you get a little bit of a discount through AMC. I think it's 50% discount on your ticket price compared to going to a prime time showing, a night showing, which is going to cost you more. So an afternoon showing, like I said, if it's in your wheelhouse, you have nothing else planned, or if it's a rainy day, go see Masters of the Universe. Give these guys some props for trying to make it a very decent throwback to the 80s type of thing. I liked it. And again, the next time I'll see it, though, will be on my TV, 70-inch flat screen, so because I don't need to see it in the theater again. If a friend of mine was like, hey, do you want to go see Masters of the Universe? Nah, not really. I saw it. But when it comes out, streaming or whatnot, I'll have you over. We'll watch it on the 70-inch. We're going to have ourselves some meat and, snackies here. We can pick what snacks we want. What do we want? Pizza and breadsticks? What do we want? Pizza and mozzarella sticks? We'll watch it here on the 70-inch. Scary Movie's going to be fun. I think it's going to be fun. I saw Rotten Tomatoes already gave it a 20% for their critic scores, which I'm just like, yeah. A bunch of woke journos that don't know comedy rated it really low. It's just like IGN rating a game really high. It's probably going to be a bad game, just like it'll be a great movie. I'm excited. One of the things I'm excited for, I had options. I could have gone to the 7:15 or 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock had a lot less people. I want to be in an audience for this movie because I want to hear if there's a gasp, like, oh, I can't believe they did that joke, or if they laugh because they made that joke. And that's what I have. Where I live, I have a feeling it's going to be laughing at the inappropriate humor. And as you can see, I am wearing my Darkness Tim Curry, legend from Fright Rags, sir. Because I was like, besides Skeletor, that's a great evil villain, you know? I mean, I like Skeletor as a villain. The original Masters of the Universe Skeletor was way more villainous than I think this one was. This one was campy villain, which makes sense for the cartoon. The other one, Frank Langella, was a way more serious villain. Like, we'll murder you if you do bad. This one had the opportunity to murder someone they did bad and he let them go. But it was, you know, a semi-main character, so trying to do the least amount of spoilers as possible. So when I tag this video, it's going to be minor spoilers. I'm not giving any of the story away. Story flowed very well. Had its storied moments, character development moments, action beats, of course, showcasing some above par Disney CGI. I will say that the CGI was better than what Disney's putting out now. And I didn't realize this was produced by Amazon, so good for them to back a movie. Maybe they stole some CGI people from Disney. Maybe, who knows? But yeah, I'm about to watch Heel vs. Babyface's spoiler-free review, which he states it's in the title. Goofy at times, but really good fun. And I have to agree. Goofy at times, but really good fun. I'm gonna say that. I'm not gonna put it in my video title like he did. But I'm gonna agree with him. I'm gonna go watch his review now and see what he thinks about it. But yeah. Like, share, subscribe, share this review. This is my first out of theater reaction review. Tomorrow I will, when I get home, and it's gonna be late in the evening, doing a scary movie review for that new one. Plus I'll be talking about the audience reactions, and that one I will try and make it as spoiler free as possible. Maybe there's some minor spoilers. Like, I'm trying not to spoil too much for you. I want you to watch the movie. I want you to enjoy it. But I want you to watch for certain things in the movie that I was watching for. Because I was watching the movie, and then towards the end I was looking for certain things. Like in the credits. Like the end credit stuff. I was like, okay, I heard this was going to be in it. Okay, there it is. And then when I was watching the end credits, the Gwildor thing with the guitar, I was like, was that Gwildor? I'm thinking to myself, oh, Billy Barty. Did they just give a nod to Billy Barty? Because that's awesome. Because he was the Gwildor in the movie, because they didn't do a Gwildor. Christ, they could barely make that movie. And then the two end credit scenes. There's the stylized credits, then a scene, which wasn't too short. It was a decent scene. And then there was the whole credits, and then there's a credit scene, end credits, which could open it up for, well, I mean, both those scenes could open it up for a good tie-in, crossover movie that would be better than just doing a She-Ra film. Because I saw the trailer for Supergirl, and I'm sitting there like this at the beginning of the movie. Supergirl looks boring. Just lame. Doesn't help them that they did not pick the best iteration of Supergirl. But it looks lame, people. I will not see that in theaters. I'm sorry. I'm not a big theater guy. After Scary Movie, I don't know what the next movie will be. Might be Pinocchio Unstrung here in July. By the guys that made Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, and Bambi Unleashed. Because those are fun, hokey movies. For horror fans, you know. So I plan on going to seeing that, and when I do, I'll do a review of Pinocchio Unstrung like I'm doing this. Out of theater, once I get home, get comfortable, and get set up to talk to you. But later.